I kind of want to take the viewers, the fans, the friends, the humans through just the journey of Lenny S. Like, you know, and starting from the start, like what and where did the journey begin? What was family? Where was the house? What, you know, if you could tell us, and then we'll start from there.
The journey in the entertainment business.
Nah, you as a human.
As a human.
Yeah, like where were you born?
Okay, like the real journey.
The real journey.
Oh wow, okay. That journey started a long time ago in Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico. My mom actually lived in the Bronx. And I guess thought it would probably be maybe more authentic if I was born in Puerto Rico. So lived in the Bronx, went to Puerto Rico like in her 8th month or whatever, 7th, 8th month or whatever, and stayed there till I was born, until I could, you know, I guess fly or whatever, you know, permission you granted to fly as a kid, and she came back to the Bronx.
Wow.
So yeah, Puerto Rican born, Bronx raised, and literally, man, I mean, I say it everywhere I go. Everybody knows. Oh, I hope that they do know that. I am from the Bronx, where hip hop was created, where your compound used to be.
But I was born in the Bronx too.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just reminding you.
Okay.
That the birth of hip hop is where we're from. It's very important. But yeah, man, that journey started early, and I fell in love with hip hop culture, I would say, because I fell in love with breakdancing. I fell in love with graffiti. I fell in love with the way to dress, the DJing, the MCing, just every aspect of all of the aspects that are, you know, that combine hip hop.
Hip hop. I always say, man, because people don't give it the credit. It's like hip hop. The only thing it robbed everything of is the four cultures that was one. Because we put the one word there,
Correct.
But there is a break. It's a dance culture.
Correct.
Yeah? And I always say that even the words like kind of held back the full potential because. It's not dance. It was not breakdance. It was dancing.
Yeah.
It was like it was a lot more things than just breakdancing. And then graffiti held back the real word, which was art.
Art, yeah, correct.
And you know, so you know, we made the word hip hop, but it never gave the credit to these four big cultures that's under it.
Yeah.
So I always try to like, you know, just let people like, oh wow, I never looked at it like these four cultures under one word.
Correct.
So came back to the Bronx, Puerto Rican born.
Yep.
But then what was the little Lenny S like? Was growing up? What was the household? The music was like.
The young Lenny S was in a household, single parent home. I grew up with my mom 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday I was with my mom. Friday through Sunday with my grandmom, because my mom used to work on the weekends. She used to be a bartender, so she was just, you know, she worked at night, and you know, as a single mom, she worked during the week. She worked during the daytime as a counselor at a community center, which comes into play later for me from a hip hop standpoint. I'll tell you, but so community center during the week, bartender on the weekend. So weekends were with my grandmother because that was my dad's mom. Because my dad was still in Puerto Rico. He had remarried, had 2 kids, so he was in Puerto Rico living.
Gotcha.
And my mom. So you know, usually as a kid, you usually go to your dad's on the weekend or whatever. Yep. I went to my grandmother's house.
Gotcha.
So my grandmother and my mom raised me. That's where I learned, I speak about them often, that's where I learned all my values, morals, responsibilities. You know, my grandmother helped sign for my first apartment, my first car, my first everything. Like, she was super responsible, taught me responsibility, taught me honor, taught me respect. You know what I'm saying? They both taught me how to be a hard worker. And I just always wanted more, you know what I mean? I kind of was one of those kids who grew up in somewhat, you know, I would say poverty, because, you know, we were, you know, mom was living check to check. We weren't, totally. You know what I mean? We weren't good. We survived, you know what I mean? I still ate mayonnaise sandwiches. And then, you know
ketchup sandwiches, yeah. The ends of the bread that was bent.
I use that as like sort of a drive to not be there anymore in that situation. I use that as a drive to make sure that my kids, or if I have kids that, and by the way, my mom and grandma did a great job. I'm just saying, I know they wanted more for all of us. Same. So I use that as fuel to say I'm not going to be in that position, and I'm going to do everything I can to, you know, provide, to be a provider. So the journey started early. That was, you know, 1 through 10, 11. By the time I was, 10, 11, 12 is when I started to fall in love with hip hop, when I started to hear Sugar Hill Gang, and I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. And then I fell in love with it when I heard like Run DMC. and I heard those, so and
Yep.
Grandmaster Caz and people like that.
Houdini
You know what I'm saying?
and all that.
Yeah. So that hip hop, and I would say specifically Run DMC made me fall in love with what hip hop was. I was still learning what it was, but I just knew that that's what I wanted to do as a career. I couldn't pinpoint what that would be. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I just saw them rapping, but. I'm sure there was somebody who made the track. I'm sure there was somebody who,
Stylist,
style. Yeah. I just knew that there were different aspects of that I could probably. But my job, I figured to myself, I owed myself like to go out and search about what those things were, how it worked, how the music worked, how the music industry worked, and I really started my journey of trying to pursue a music career at 12, 13.
Okay, so let's talk about, because when I look at Lenny S, right, there's a lot of things, and I know the history. I know you for a while. Is like crate boy, it's A&R, it's manager, it's a curator, it's fashionista. Like
Intern.
I always say, for me, like, I knew at like 7 years old because of comics and movies.
Yeah.
And I was, and then also hip hop, and I was like, how can I merge all these things together? When you started hearing hip hop, and like you even just mentioned it, like it was other things, but was there other things in your life that sparked your interest as a kid? And it was like,
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because as we're brothers, we know each other very well. I didn't know that you sparked that at that age, and I would say, I think what aligns with both of us is, it did for me too, right? I fell in love with movies, television. I fell in love with entertainment early on.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna lie to you, Hollywood never seemed attainable to me. Hip hop seemed attainable to me because these were the guys from New York. These were guys from a borough that I was from or could have been from. These are people that I could touch or see, possibly. You know what I mean? Hollywood didn't seem realistic for
It
me.
was too far
I
from
would have
me.
loved to do film and television. You know what I mean? I didn't think that. I thought you had to be in California and Sunset Hills. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was attainable. So hip hop is what I was also drawn to because I thought it was attainable. And I learned that at a young age, like I said, 12, 13, 14, because I had a best friend named Che. And Che's grandmother name was Sylvia, and she owned a restaurant in Harlem. So me, my best friend Greg, my man Bert, and Che, we would always go because it was his grandmother's restaurant. I don't know if I can say this, but we ate for free every weekend.
as y'all should.
Every time we went. So it was like this was at this time the most popular restaurant, one of the most popular restaurants in Harlem. In the '80s, and we would go there on the weekend. I hung out in Harlem every weekend of my life. That's like I'm from the Bronx, but I hung out in Harlem a lot. Anyway, I say all that to say he also had a cousin by the name of Lindsay, and Lindsay was an A&R at Def Jam. And that made it very, very realistic for me because Lindsay would come to the block in like a Rolls Royce with Slick Rick. So for me at 13, 14, to see Slick Rick, you know what I mean? In a beautiful, like a cardigan sweater with a great Gucci
glasses,
link, with a Fendi clutch, with Bally shoes, with slacks on, that was unbelievable to me to see him in person. And that's what I said. It felt like it was attainable and like realistic. And that's why that was my journey to start.